Hello there, my name is Dalton. I am reading a Narcotics Anonymous book, and I'm going to be running through the steps and reading the steps. We've all done a lot of running in the past, so it's good to take a walk and take a quiet time moment to read along and listen along. I'm going to be reading through step 1 today. So here goes step 1. We admitted that we were powerless over our addiction, that our lives had become unmanageable. It doesn't matter what or how much we used. In Narcotics Anonymous, staying clean has to come first. We realize that we cannot use drugs and live. When we admit our powerlessness and our inability to manage our own lives, we open the door to recovery. No one could convince us that we were addicts. It is an admission that we have to make for ourselves. When some of us have doubts, we ask ourselves this question: can I control my use of any form of mind or mood-altering chemicals? Most addicts will see that control is impossible. The moment it is suggested, whatever the outcome, we find that we cannot control our using for any length of time. This would clearly suggest that an addict has no control over drugs. Powerlessness means using drugs against our will. If we can't stop using, how can we tell ourselves we are in control? The inability to stop using, even with the greatest willpower and the most sincere desire, is what we mean when we say we have absolutely no choice. However, we do have a choice after we stop trying to justify our using. We didn't stumble into this fellowship brimming with love, honesty, open-mindedness, or willingness. We reached a point where we could no longer continue using because of physical, mental, and spiritual pain. When we were beaten, we became willing. Our inability to control our dosage of drugs is a symptom of disease or addiction. We are powerless not only over drugs, but over our addiction as well. We need to admit this fact in order to recover. Addiction is a physical, mental, and spiritual disease that affects every area of our lives. The physical aspect of our disease is the compulsive use of drugs, the inability to stop using once we have started. The mental aspect of our disease is the obsession, or overpowering desire to use even when we are destroying our lives. The spiritual part of our disease is our total self-centeredness. We felt that we could stop whenever we wanted to. Despite all evidence to the contrary, denial, substitution, rationalization, justification, distrust of others, guilt, embarrassment, dereliction, degradation, isolation, and loss of control are all results of our disease. Our disease is progressive, incurable, and fatal. Most of us are relieved to find out we have a disease instead of a moral deficiency. We are not responsible for our disease, but we are responsible for our recovery. Most of us tried to stop using on our own, but we were unable to live with or without drugs. Eventually, we realized that we were powerless over our addiction. Many of us tried to stop using on sheer willpower. This action was a temporary solution. We saw that willpower alone would not work for any length of time. We tried countless other remedies: psychiatrists, hospitals, recovery houses, lovers, new towns, new jobs. Everything that we tried failed. We began to see that we had rationalized the most outrageous sort of nonsense to justify the mess that we made for our lives using drugs. Until we let go of our reservations, no matter what they are, the foundation of our recovery is in danger. Reservations rob us of the benefit that this program has to offer. In ridding ourselves of all reservations, we surrender. Then and only can we be helped to recover from the disease of addiction. Now the question is, if we are powerless, how can Narcotics Anonymous help? We begin by asking for help. The foundation of our program is the admission that we of ourselves do not have power over addiction. When we can accept this fact, we have completed the first part of step 1. A second admission must be made before our foundation is complete. If we stop here, we will know only half the truth. We are great ones for manipulating the truth. So we say on one hand, yes, I am powerless over my addiction, and on the other hand, when I get my life together, I can handle drugs. Such thoughts and actions led us back to active addiction. It never occurred to us to ask, if we can't control our addiction, how can we control our lives? We felt miserable without drugs and our lives were unmanageable. Unemployability, dereliction, and destruction are easily seen as characteristics of an unmanageable life. Our families generally are disappointed, baffled, and confused by our actions and often desert us or disown us. Becoming employed, socially acceptable, and reunited with our families does not make our lives manageable. Social acceptability does not equal recovery. We have found that we had no choice except to completely change our old ways of thinking or go back to using. When we give our best, it works for us as it has worked for others. When we could no longer stand our old ways, we began to change. From that point forward, we began to see that every clean day is a successful day, no matter what happens. Surrender means not having to fight anymore. We accept our addiction and life the way it is. We become willing to do whatever is necessary to stay clean, even the things we don't like doing. Until we took step 1, we were full of fear and doubt. At this point, many of us felt lost and confused. We felt different. Upon working this step, we affirmed our surrender to the principles of NA. Only after surrender are we able to overcome the alienation of addiction. Help for addicts begins only when we are able to admit complete defeat. This can be frightening, but it is the foundation on which we build our lives. Step 1 means that we do not have to use, and this is a great freedom. It took a while for some of us to realize that our lives had become unmanageable. For others, the unmanageability of their lives was the only thing that was clear. We knew in our hearts that drugs had the power to change us into someone that we didn't want to be. Being clean and working this step, we are released from our chains. However, none of the steps work by magic. We do not just say the words of this step, we learn to live them. We see for ourselves that the program has something to offer us. We have found hope. We can learn to function in the world in which we live. We can find meaning and purpose in life and be rescued from insanity, depravity, and death. So that's step 1. When you're going into step 1, you're going to the NA book, AA book. When you take care of step 1, when you read step 1, don't let your own English get a hold of you, and especially when you're talking as a brief and you're talking on a phone, you're going to have people who you think may not necessarily say they are. Maybe I'm just a crazy lunatic. I guess everybody might think that when they're reading step 1, but don't let old English get to you. And when I say don't let old English get to you, I mean there could be someone watching you wouldn't even know, and they could be judging you. It could be family, like I had said in the book. I'm not even trying to add a bunch of gibberish or anything on there. You can never be wrong. You can talk as much as you want. Everybody has the right to speak. Everybody has the right to say whatever they want to say, whether it be something mean, that be nothing that ever needs to occur in a sentence to anyone. So don't judge yourself for reading step 1. And when people judge you, just walk past them or either just read over them, because I don't have time to sit here and call people out for what they think about me. I don't have time to sit here and bicker at a phone screen because I heard what somebody else said when I was reading my step. And so it's pretty much whatever you perceive of yourself or whatever you perceive of others or whatever you perceive when you see me is just, it's whatever. You can't be wrong. I'm not going to sit here and edit this and cut it out anymore because I'm tired of fighting and bickering over what somebody thinks about me, because that's what I've been doing all my life, at least the times that I've used, and either pushed it off or shoved it aside accordingly when I was using because I didn't care. And we could all be running away from something, and we all could be using some kind of drug, or we could get clean and be sober, and people just laugh at that these days, but it's true. And everybody's sheltering themselves from something that happened to them in the past, whether it's through addiction. Or I'm not saying you're speaking for everybody, but I'm not saying that everybody's probably done something stupid in their life, and I have definitely done a lot of stupid things, and I'm lucky to be here to not have to go through any problems, not have to suffer from my consequence. I'm lucky to be able to speak. So you either have another face that's speaking to you, or either you don't have a face at all. So it's kind of just everybody's fighting for the right to speak when our freedom of right to speak is being taken away for some odd reason. But I have this book right here, the Alcoholism and Addiction Cure book I'm going to be reading. And I also have Narcotics Anonymous book that I'm going to be reading. And I don't put a cover on either one of these. I don't put a judge on either one of these, because it's all about getting rid of what we all have as a disease of some sort that carries on throughout us. Because once you grow older, you grow to forget things that might still bother you from when you were younger. So growing to forget things when you were younger can be what doctors say can be a thought traveling process, even when you're not even socially or individually, when you're alone thinking about something. So things can irritate you at the end of the day, and you can walk out into a group or a crowd of people, and then you can judge yourself where either the light's shining too bright, or you're just looking at somebody because you never met them before and you want to know who they are and they want to know who you are, but you're judging yourself. Speaking for me, I've judged myself before too. That's something that happens when you go to a gathering or a church or some kind of meeting, is that the lights either shine too bright, or I'm not able to look at you in the eye because I don't know you very well, and you might have been a little bit more sober than I am right now. So, and that means that they say it's uncontrollable. They say it's uncontrollable. That thought is uncontrollable, but it's not necessarily the thought's uncontrollable. It's necessary that the person in front of you is not judging you and you're not judging them. It's just hard to start with conversation when you've been out drinking or doing something for such a long time, and now when you're returning your life back over to God and being sober, it's a process on trying to get back out into the world and associate yourself with how you used to. And that's something that I have to do. And so not everybody deals with the same thing, and I don't know if it's referenced or if referencing the word I don't know if I need to reference the word I instead of you all the time. You and I are the same thing, because when I say you, it means that I'm struggling with the same thing just as much as a lot of other people are. And I like to think that when I go out into the real world, I'm going to meet people who are relatable on these kind of things that I've gone through. And that's all I really got. As a 22-year-old, people are initially going to watch from some kind of press or place, and then I'm going to have to deal with the immaturity. And I'm not necessarily saying I'm immature sometimes too, but immaturity can be something that people put on someone just by looking at them, and that's just hilarious. And I'm not going to sit here and say, you know what, I need to restart this, because that's just a stupid joke. So you could really pretty much just say anything about someone, and then they can either stop hands down right there and they can stop hands down right there and then bicker at somebody about it, or they could just move on with their life. Like, I'm sitting out here talking, and this is the first time I've seen my neighbors And I'm not really caring, and neither are they. We're all here for some odd reason, and I'm just here. And I don't really know what else to say other than there's a voice in my head that sometimes gets on my nerves, and sometimes I can even hear a voice faintly that says, I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say. Go F yourself. That's what a voice will say in my head. And who wants to walk around with a voice that says, I don't care what you say. Go F yourself? Like, no one wants to hear that all day. Little brother, little sister, big sister. No one cares. And this is the self-centeredness part of me, but I have to live and deal with a person I was associated with, and it was in the book, like I had said. But I will deal with my self-centeredness, and I will put my self-centeredness out there so I can watch this later and look at myself back again and say, you know what? Like everybody does, I don't want to sit here and look at myself on a TV screen. And then when we're young and we dream about something, we're like, I want to be like that guy one day. I want to be like this dude. And it's not necessarily their idolization. It's necessarily they went through the steps and they got through what they had either failed at before or either fell at occurringly more so. And then it's like this: sobriety, relapse, and it's like this going all through life. It's like, but you never go backwards. You're always going forwards because we're all growing and we're all getting older. I can't sit here and shrink I can't sit here and shrink to be 4 years old again when that happened. But I'm not gonna cry about it anymore. It's something that I can't change from when I was 4 years old. So I gotta end it there. And peace out. Probably won't be able to post this on anything, but I might post it to YouTube or something. Because I really don't care. I'm just gonna let people know I don't give a crap anymore. I'm gonna post whatever I want to post, and I'm gonna talk whatever I want to talk. As long as I'm not cussing, that's all that matters to me. I can't ever be wrong, and no one can ever be right. Because we're all imperfect. So God bless everybody. This was my NA. I say God bless everybody just because everybody deserves to be blessed in some sort of way. And I might not be a blessing, but I might be a ugly dude on a phone that's talking to you, coming to a theater, not so. So this is Narcotics Anonymous, and this was my step 1 recovery video, and I'll be posting some more. I'm going to post this to YouTube just because I'm bored and I want to do something outside, and it's going to help me get outside instead of playing Xbox all day and sitting in there eating pimento cheese sandwiches. Peace out, guys.